Hey guys, it's Jake with High Point Land Company. I'm going to talk about what an abstract is, where do you find it, why you should keep it, and where you should keep it. So an abstract of title looks like this. It's always got some kind of paper on it. It's going to be either brown or tan or green. Um, it's going to kind of look like this old scribe with a whole bunch of pages in there, and so they're gonna look like this and say abstract of title on the front, and it's going to have a legal description. The following premises, property situated in X county in the state, with a legal description or a meets and bounds description. So that is what it's going to look like. It's going to have these big binders on top, and then it's going to have this on top, and it's going to be lots and lots of pages. We get asked all the time when we go to sell a property for somebody, especially from folks that have inherited farmland or hunting land or rural property in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Before we close on that property, we're going to need to have the abstract taken to the county abstractor and or the attorney that's representing the client, and they're going to update that so the new buyer can take title to it, and they're going to look through the abstract and see is there any liens recorded to it or encumbrances or easements or anything that's on that property. So where you're going to find it, if it is inherited property, more than likely if there was a farm file that has the tenant information, the rental information, past property taxes, a manila envelope. I've seen them wrapped up in Pringles cans. I've seen them at the previous attorney that did the closing and or the estate, from one, let's say one person passes away and then another still owns the property, like in a spouse or a parent situation. That abstract might be at the attorney's office from that. It might be at the bank in the vault from who had a lien on the property as far as a loan. They might hang on to it and keep it in a safe spot or a safety deposit box at the bank. Any place that they would have had documentation, a safe, filing cabinet, place where any of the paperwork or the important things would be, that's usually where the abstract is. It's going to be a lot like a car title, and it's going to say all the things, who's owned the property in the past, and I mean way into the past, sometimes into the 1800s, or we've seen them back into like 1700s from the original claim. You know, there was abstracts and chain of title, it's called, that are documented in these abstracts. So they're going to look like I said, they're going to have a colored back on them. More than likely they're going to be about 14 to 18 inches long on a legal piece of paper with a binder at the top, and then they're going to continue to either take pages out or add pages to them, based on what you're doing at the property. If you're surveying it off and you're splitting it, if you're buying more property or selling this property, they're going to add and subtract based on the legal description that abstract describes. Now, as far as when you get a property, if it doesn't have an abstract, they can do a 40-year back search and make sure there wasn't any liens or encumbrances, and they can recreate them. But those documents, in my experience, cost anywhere between $1,500 to $2,500 to recreate. So in the case in front of me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. When you're talking $1,500 to $2,500 a piece, if you own a big property that has a lot of abstracting to it, those abstracts can get very expensive to recreate and replace, and look up the previous ownership to make sure that there's not any liens or encumbrances on that property. The last thing you want to do is take a property without any kind of title opinion or search completed by an attorney or a title company, because if you purchase a property and it has a lien recorded on it for fencing that wasn't paid for, or a pond or construction or a home that was built, or a bank did a loan on it and it was recorded, you might very well have a lien on that property that you have to pay in order to own that property free and clear to sell it to the next buyer. So abstracts are very important. That's what they look like. That's kind of what they represent. And again, if you're looking for them for a property that you've inherited, or a property that maybe you bought 20 years ago and you don't know where the abstract is, you would have put it in a place that it was important, because the attorney, the banker, the real estate company, all would have told you that this is an important document. Keep it. Do not throw them away. If you have one and you're not sure what property it's to, you can go to the county abstractor, or you can go to an attorney, or maybe a real estate agent that sells land specifically, and a lot of residential folks. I mean, you'll have them for a residential house, also commercial building, in a lot of states, but Iowa is one of the states that still uses them with Iowa title guarantee. So they're very important. Keep them unless somebody reads through it and says you have title commitment or title insurance, like in Minnesota or Wisconsin, but in the state of Iowa especially, hang on to them, keep them. If you own the property and or you sold it to somebody else, they're going to want that abstract of title and to be able to see who's owned it and the chain of ownership in the past, and if there's any liens or encumbrances on it.